Welcome to today's Explainer. You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. That sudden, dreadful surge of panic when your kid just starts screaming in the middle of a quiet supermarket or a super crowded mall. You instantly feel that heat of embarrassment on your neck, and your very first instinct is to just try and, fix the behavior right then and there. But today, we're going to take a step back. We're going to look at the real science behind these meltdowns and discover a practical, proven blueprint to actually handle them without losing your mind.
So ask yourself this incredibly relatable question. Does your child also suddenly start crying and screaming in public? If you are nodding along right now, believe me, you are absolutely not alone. But we really need to establish a core paradigm shift right here at the very start. The truth is, your child isn't giving you a hard time, they are actually having a hard time. So here's our game plan for this empathy to action blueprint. We're going to cover the scientific truth behind tantrums, mapping the upstairs and downstairs brain, how to handle public tantrums, a literal lifesaver 2-minute calming trick, the 33% rule of discipline, and finally, a pre-outing protocol. Let's dive right in.
Okay, Section 1, Tantrums, a scientific truth, and why it is not bad parenting. To release any of that guilt you might be carrying around, the first thing you absolutely need to know is that a meltdown is not a sign that you're a bad parent. It is also not some calculated act of manipulation by your child. In pediatric neurobiology, a tantrum is actually recognized as a deeply physiological event. We call it flipping the lid. Basically, when a kid's internal alarm gets triggered, their brain is completely flooded with a stress hormone called cortisol. This flood literally severs their connection to the rational mind. So logic and reasoning, they become physically impossible for your child to process in that moment. And that is exactly why connection must always come before correction. Move into Section 2. 2 different brain parts. This is based on Dr. Daniel Siegel's whole brain map. To truly figure out how to help a kid regulate themselves, we really need to know who is driving the bus during a meltdown. It's actually fascinating. Think of the brain as a 2-story house. On the left side, you've got the upstairs brain. This handles logic, decision-making, empathy, all the good stuff. But here's the catch. It's literally under construction until they're in their mid-20s. On the right side, you've got the downstairs brain, the amygdala. This is pure reactive survival mode, and it is fully functional from the day they are born. So during a tantrum, that downstairs brain takes over entirely. Trying to lecture a child in this state is honestly like trying to teach a drowning person how to swim. It's just not going to work. And we really have to acknowledge what is acting as a massive catalyst for this dysregulation today, and that's excessive screen time. Research from JAMA Pediatrics shows that the rapid-fire, instant gratification of digital devices actually prevents a child's brain from developing a waiting muscle. So when a kid transitions from a high dopamine screen back into the boring, slow-paced real world, that withdrawal causes a neurological crash. It basically leaves their nervous system on a hair trigger for a total meltdown. Section 3. How to handle public tantrums with the 3-phase roadmap. When a meltdown inevitably happens in public, because let's face it, it will, your role has to shift immediately. You are no longer their teacher. You have to become a calm anchor, providing the stability that your child has just lost. Here is the exact playbook. In phase 1, the trigger, you state the limit clearly but with real empathy. You say something like, "No, this won't happen today. I understand you feel bad." And then, this is crucial, you stop talking. Repetition just tells them your no is negotiable. In phase 2, the actual meltdown, get right down on their level, offer proximity without a lecture. Literally just say, "I'm here." And finally, phase 3, recovery. When the storm breaks and you see their body soften, offer a warm connection. Absolutely no "I told you so." Just say, "Come here. Everything is okay. Let's keep going." But wait, what about the onlookers, right?
The dreaded auntie problem. Those strangers who just love to stare or offer unsolicited advice. Remember this rule. Every single second you spend explaining yourself to a stranger is a second you lose regulating your child. Just offer a polite, firm boundary with a smile. Say, yes, this is totally normal at this age. It'll pass. And then turn your attention completely back to your child. Okay, section 4. The 2-minute calming technique for providing sensory safety. This right here is an absolute game changer. This core technique is proven to calm about 90% of kids. It is all about providing sensory safety and silently signaling to their amygdala that the danger is officially over. I really want you to try this next time and think in very deliberate 30-second chunks. For the first 30 seconds, just offer your silent presence. Stand or sit near them. Be the anchor. From 30 to 60 seconds, make gentle eye contact. This signals I see you and you are safe. From 60 to 90 seconds, place a gentle hand on their shoulder or back for some physical grounding. And finally, from 90 to 120 seconds, once you actually feel their physical tension drop and they become receptive, offer a full, warm hug. But honestly, to execute that 2-minute trick effectively without getting totally overwhelmed yourself, you need a quick internal checklist. Before you even start, take 3 deep breaths. Completely ignore the audience around you. Drop your voice to a low, slow, rhythmic tone. And above all else, just make sure your kid is in a physically safe spot where they can't bump their head or get hurt. Moving on to section 5, the 33% rule of discipline and building frustration tolerance. Let's see how this translates into long-term discipline. Because while we absolutely want to be empathetic, we also really need to build up their frustration tolerance. We don't want to accidentally develop a people-pleasing personality in our kids. We still need to be the authority. So think of your responses to their daily requests as a perfectly balanced pie chart. 33% of the time, give an immediate yes to their reasonable requests. This builds trust and shows them they're being heard. Another 33% of the time, use the later strategy to deliberately build that waiting muscle. Like, we can definitely have a cookie, but after dinner on Saturday. And for that final 33%, give a clear, firm no for issues of safety, ethics, or strict no-negotiables. To put that into perspective, let's fast forward a bit. Think of a teenager. A clear no is refusing to let your 15-year-old drive a scooter without a license. By perfectly balancing your yes, later, and no, your word becomes highly authoritative. It teaches your child early on that limits aren't a punishment. Limits are actually a vital form of safety. All right, section 6, preparation before going out, the pre-outing protocol. The crucial point here is prevention. How do we stop that downstairs brain from taking over before we even walk out the front door? Let's quickly run through this survival checklist before you hit a stressful environment like the grocery store or the mall. First off, avoid red windows. Never, ever go shopping when they are hungry or during nap time. Have a preview conversation setting expectations. Something like, today we are only buying milk, no toys. Assign them a mission. Say, hey, help me find 5 green apples. This is brilliant because it actively keeps that logical upstairs brain engaged. Always get an exit agreement before you walk inside. And finally, just respect their endurance window. A toddler simply isn't going to endure an hour of quiet clothes shopping, and we shouldn't expect them to. So I'll leave you with this final, powerful thought. How will acting as a calm anchor today shape your child's lifelong ability to self-regulate tomorrow? Because every single time you choose connection over correction during a meltdown, you are literally teaching them a vital coping skill that they are going to use for the rest of their lives. Consistent empathy paired with firm limits is absolutely the greatest long-term investment you can make in your child's future. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.